Hey y'all, so I hope that you had a very Merry Christmas, and maybe you already have taken down your Christmas decor and your Christmas tree, but shout out to all my fellow folks that keep their Christmas tree up until January 6th, because if you know, you know. Anyways, let's talk about having a purpose-filled new year. Okay, so obviously this is kind of the week that we start talking about our New Year's resolutions and our goals and all of those things, and if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that all of our well-made plans can go up in flames very quickly. Like we control very little about our lives, right? But I want to talk you through this exercise that I do. I used to do this exercise a lot whenever I still did one-on-one financial coaching. I would have my clients to do this exercise because it's very powerful. And it will really help you not just set goals, but like to live with purpose. Like it'll help you have a more purposeful life because you will clearly understand the direction that you're wanting to move in. And so if you are new here, my name is Jessie Fearon. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 3 kids, and my family and I, we are 100% debt-free, which yes, does include our home. We paid it off in January of 2019. And we did all of this on just a little bit more than $47,000 a year salary. So trust me, it is 100% possible to become debt-free. And part of how we got there was through doing this exercise and getting very clear on where we wanted to end up in our life. And so I'm going to walk you through that right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to get out a piece of paper or a notebook that you can write in and store this in. Just get something to write with real quick, and we're going to walk through this exercise. And so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write today's date, but 5 years in the future. So for this example, I'm recording this video on December 28th of 2020. And so I would write down the date December 28th of 2025 for this exercise. So just take whatever today's date is and put it 5 years in the future and write that down. The next thing you're going to do is write down how old you will be on this day 5 years in the future. I will be 39, which is like crazy and scary a little. And now I want you to write down, if you're married, I want you to write down your spouse's age 5 years in the future, as well as your children's ages 5 years in the future if you have children. And once you've done that, once you've written down the date 5 years in the future and you've written down everyone's future ages, I want you to kind of sit with this for a minute. I want you to really think about where you hope to end up at that age and at that time in your lives. Like, where do you hope to end up? I want you to think about what your day-to-day life 5 years in the future is going to look like. More than likely you're going to be in a different season of life. Even if you're a mom to, me 5 years ago, I was a mom to 3 kids ages 3 and under, and it was total chaos half the time, and it was crazy. But here I am now 5 years in the future, and I don't have any little kids in the house anymore. So I'm in a totally different season of life. And so 5 years in the future, you more than likely are going to be in a different season of life, even if you are a mom stuck in the trenches of motherhood. I promise you, 5 years in the future, you're probably going to be in a different season. And so I really want you to think about what your day-to-day life is going to look like 5 years in the future in this new season of life. Are there any things that you hope to have achieved by this age or by this season in life? Some people have specific goals that they've always wanted to achieve by the time they're 40 or they're 30. And if that's you, what are those things that you're hoping to achieve by the time you get to that age? Are you on track maybe to go towards achieving those goals? And so I really want you to take your time with this exercise. I know that I'm kind of like going through this right now. So that's kind of why I want you to kind of write this stuff down and come back to it later on and really sit with it and really think about it, because it's really, 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 really important. And so once you have had time to sit down and really think about where you hope to end up in the future and what you hope your sort of future 5-year-older self has achieved and what you hope your family has achieved, what are things that maybe right now you need to start considering changing, either removing from your life or adding to your life in order to help you get closer towards achieving that 5-year in the future goal, that whole day-to-day life that you hope to have in 5 years from the future? What are some things that you need to do now to help you get towards that? But once you are very clear about what you want your future life to look like, I want you to sit down and clearly define that. And back when I did one-on-one financial coaching, I actually had one of my clients that went through this exercise. The moment that she had written down her kids' ages, like it looked like she had literally been slapped across the face. Like her face was like, so like flabbergasted. And she just was like, I didn't know what to do. I honestly was like, are you okay? But what it was is that she realized when she had written down that her children's ages, she had realized that her oldest child was going to be a junior in high school 5 years in the future. And so for her and her husband, it had always, even before they had children, it was very important to them that they pay for college for their children. And that's because that their parents, both of them, husband and wife, their parents had paid for their colleges. And so that was not a debt or anything that they had to worry with when they were first married. And that was a gift that they truly wanted to give to their own children. Well, they realized that not only were they really behind, but that in 5 years from now, because 5 years really isn't that long of a time, isn't like a really long time at all. They realized that their oldest was going to be very close to leaving the house and graduating high school and going off to college. And so they then were able to then sit down and say, okay, what do we do to change our current reality so we can make sure that we achieve this goal that we have both decided is very important to us? And that's why this exercise is so important, is it so it can help you clearly identify and define the things that you hope and want to achieve in the future. Because, you know, a lot of times we can say like, oh, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that. Same with my former clients who wanted to achieve being able to pay for college for their kids without their kids having to worry about student loan debt. They wanted to do that. But see, the thing is that for so long, that goal was sort of over here. Oh, we've got time. We've got time. We've got time. Meanwhile, they're living their day-to-day life, caught in the hustle and bustle of just parenthood and all the things that they had to manage. And they both had corporate careers. And so like they had a lot going on in their life. And the reality is that date off in the future, they weren't paying attention, and it was just getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And that's why it's important to do this exercise, to stop and be like, okay, 5 years in the future is not a very long time at all. And what by that 5-year mark do we want to have achieved? What things do we need to do now in our current reality to achieve those things? The point here is that you're basically looking into your future and then bringing it back to reality and determining what steps you can take today. And remember, baby steps are still steps. You don't need to all of a sudden just go charging like a bull in a china shop trying to achieve all the things. Take a deep breath and take as many small, slow steps as you need to build up the momentum to achieve your goal, but bring back that future into the current reality. So then that way you can actually make a plan of action and achieve those goals that you want to in the future. The other thing I wanted to go over with you, it's very important in helping me achieve my goals and really get clear on things that I need to change, because sometimes it's not all about the things that are happening in the future. Sometimes it's about things that are happening here currently that are actually preventing us from achieving our future goals. And so this thing that I do every year, I have a personal reality check and a business reality check. And so I ask myself 3 questions under each category. Now, if you don't have a business, you don't need to do this for your business, but do this definitely for your personal life. And the first question I ask is, what is going well? So what is going well in my personal life? And I write that down. I write down what's going well in my business. Then the next question I ask is, what is not going well? So I answer that question for what's not going well in my personal life, what's not going well in my business. This is really important. It's really important to identify the things that are going great and the things that are not going great. Because if you have a personality like mine, I'm an Enneagram 8, I tend to lean way more on the negative side of things than the positive side. And that's, and you know, for folks that are opposite of me, who lean more on the positive side than the negative side, this is still really important because you need to identify both of them. You need to identify the positives, the things that are going well in your life, and the things that are not going so well in your life, because you're never going to make any changes, positive or negative, if you are not aware of your current reality, right? And so that leads me to the last question I asked myself, which is, what needs to change? So I asked this for my personal and my business. As you see, I break them out into just columns, into little columns with personal and business on either side. And I ask these same 3 questions in both of the columns. And so the last question is, what needs to change? What things do I need to change in my personal life, in my business, in order to help make things start going better, going smoother, getting closer to achieving my goals, as well as, are there any maybe goals that I need to let go of? Like maybe I set a really aggressive goal at the beginning of the year thinking I was going to achieve it, but the reality is that aggressive goal is actually maybe stealing away from other goals that are actually more important. And believe it or not, that happens, right? Like having goals is really great and wonderful, but sometimes we can become so hell bent on this one goal, and all these other goals that are actually more important are kind of falling to the wayside while you're trying to aggressively attack this thing. And you maybe need to have a reality check and kind of scale back and be like, okay, that goal is still important, but it's not more important than these other ones. And so I need to back up and take care of these other ones first, and then I can go after this one. And the final part of this exercise that I do is that I like to just, on a piece of paper, I like to write down in whatever year is coming up. So like for this example, because I'm recording this in 2020, the new year is obviously going to be 2021. So I would write in 2021, and then I list out a bunch of I am statements. You know, I am happy, I am healthy, I am fit. Me and my husband have XYZ in savings, or we have paid off XYZ. I am basically declaring what I'm hoping that my new year, my 2021, will look like. And for me, this has been very beneficial because it helps me clearly define how I want to live the coming year. And again, because you start with the sort of 5-year into the future exercise, start there. Don't start with this one. Start with the 5-year in the future exercise, because that will put you in the right frame of mind to come back to this and be like, yes, this is how I want to see this next year of my life going, because this is going to help me get to that day-to-day life that I pictured 5 years in the future. This is going to help me get there. And so you want to start with the 5-year in the future exercise that we did at the beginning of this video, then move into your personal reality check, your business reality check too, if you own a business, asking yourself the 3 questions: what is going well, what is not going well, and what needs to change. And then write down in blank year, so whatever year it's going to be, so in 2021, write down a bunch of statements where you are declaring what that year is going to look like for you. And this for me has been very beneficial. It has helped me be able to set actionable goals that make sense for my family and for our current reality, but also get us closer towards achieving that sort of in the future ideal that we hope to achieve. And I know that this exercise can help you as well. And so I would love it if after you do this exercise, you leave me a comment letting me know what is one big thing you're going to be working on in the new year.